The apartment smelled like bleach and regret. I stood in the doorway of what used to be my childhood bedroom, watching my mother strip the bedsheets with the efficiency of someone erasing a mistake. "Your sister needs this room for her wedding dress fittings," she said without looking at me. "The natural light is better here. You understand." I understood perfectly. I'd understood for 30 years. "Where exactly am I supposed to sleep?" I asked, keeping my voice level. "Rachel, don't be dramatic." My mother finally looked up, her face tight with practiced irritation. "You have that nice apartment near the hospital. You were only staying here temporarily anyway." Temporarily. I'd been here for 8 months, ever since my grandmother died and made me promise to look after them. "Make sure they're okay," she'd whispered in the hospice room. "They're not good with money." That was putting it mildly. "I signed a 6-month lease at the apartment," I said carefully. "It ended. I told you I was looking for a new place." "Well, you'll have to look faster. Melissa's wedding is in 3 months, and she needs the space now." Mom bundled the sheets into her arms. "Besides, you're a doctor. You can afford a hotel." I wasn't a doctor. Not the kind she meant, anyway. But I'd stopped correcting her years ago. "A hotel," I repeated. "Or maybe that nice motel off Highway 9. Very affordable, I hear." She brushed past me, leaving me standing in the empty room. Through the wall, I could hear my sister Melissa on the phone, her voice bright with excitement. "Yes, the dress is Vera Wang. Can you believe it? Daddy's paying for everything." Daddy. Our father, who'd called me last month asking to borrow $5,000 for property taxes. I'd transferred it the same day, no questions asked. That was 3 weeks ago. Apparently, the property taxes involved designer wedding dresses. I pulled out my phone and texted my real estate agent. "Need apartment as soon as possible. Budget flexible." Then I walked downstairs, where my father sat in his recliner, watching golf. "Dad," I said, "can I talk to you?" "Melissa's on the phone with the caterer," he said, eyes on the screen. "Big day coming up. Biggest day of her life." "I know. I'm happy for her." I wasn't lying. I was happy for Melissa. I just wished happiness didn't require erasing me from the house. But Mom just told me I need to move out. Today. "Well, you heard your mother. Melissa needs the room." He shifted in his chair. "You've got that good job at the research lab. You'll land on your feet. You always do." That good job. If only they knew. 4 years ago, I'd invented a cancer drug delivery system that reduced treatment side effects by 60%. The pharmaceutical company that licensed my patent paid me $80 million upfront, plus royalties that currently ran about $4 million a year. I'd been on the cover of Pharmaceutical Research Journal. I'd given a TED Talk. I had a Wikipedia page. My parents had never asked to see it. They thought I was a lab technician making $65,000 a year. They thought I drove a beat-up Toyota because I couldn't afford better, not because I preferred keeping a low profile. They thought my little apartment near the hospital was a studio, not a penthouse loft I owned outright. I'd learned early that showing success in this family meant becoming a target. When I'd won a science fair in 8th grade, my mother had made me apologize to Melissa for showing off. When I'd gotten a full scholarship to MIT, my father had asked why I couldn't go to state school like normal people. When I'd published my first research paper, Melissa had cried because I was trying to make her look bad. So I'd learned to hide, dress down, drive old cars, pay cash, live small. And I'd come back to check on them because Grandma asked me to. Because despite everything, some part of me hoped they'd finally see me. "I'll pack my things," I said quietly. "Great. Oh, and Rachel?" My father still didn't look at me. "Your mother mentioned the wedding gift. Since you don't have a +1, you could contribute a bit more. Maybe 15,000? Melissa's got her heart set on this honeymoon in Bali. $15,000? For a honeymoon? While they kicked me out to a motel. "I'll think about it," I said. I went upstairs and started packing. It took 20 minutes to load my car. I kept most of my important things at my real apartment anyway. My laptop, my tablet, my designer clothes, my New England Journal of Medicine plaque, the patent certificate. All safely locked away where they'd never accidentally see them and ask questions. As I carried my last box down the stairs, Melissa emerged from her room, phone pressed to her ear. She was beautiful, my sister. Blonde, tall, charming. Everything I wasn't. "Hold on," she said into the phone, then covered the receiver. "You're leaving already? Wow, that was fast. You need the room," I said. "I really do. The dress needs space, and the bridesmaids are coming over for fittings." She smiled. "Thanks for understanding." "Oh, and you got Dad's message about the gift, right? 15,000? I know it's a lot for you, but Tyler and I really want to do Bali right." Tyler, her fiancé, the one who'd spent last Thanksgiving explaining to me why my job was cute but not real medicine like Tyler's. Tyler was a pharmaceutical sales rep. He sold other people's drugs and made $90,000 a year plus commission. He sold my drug. I'd seen him at a medical conference 6 months ago, pitching OncoShield, my delivery system, to oncologists. He had no idea I'd invented it. I'll send a check, I said. You're the best, Rach. She went back to her phone call. Sorry, my sister was just leaving. Anyway, about the champagne toast. I walked out to my car and sat there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel. My phone buzzed. My real estate agent found a place. Luxury high-rise, furnished, available immediately. $8,500, month. Want it? I typed back. Take it. Then I drove to the motel off Highway 9. It was exactly as depressing as my mother had implied. Peeling paint, flickering neon sign, rooms that smelled like old cigarettes and broken promises. I checked in for a week. The clerk looked at my old Toyota and my thrift store coat and didn't ask questions. I paid cash. In the room, I opened my laptop, not the old Chromebook I carried around my parents, but my actual work laptop. Military-grade encryption, custom hardware, worth about $12,000. I logged into my secure email. 37 messages. Most were routine patent attorney updates, investment reports, speaking invitations. One caught my eye. Meeting request. Avalon Therapeutics OncoShield licensing expansion. Avalon Therapeutics, Tyler's company. I opened the email. They wanted to expand OncoShield into pediatric oncology. They were requesting a meeting with Dr. Sarah Kimmy to discuss terms. The meeting was scheduled for next week. In Boston. Tyler had mentioned at Thanksgiving that he was heading to Boston for a big meeting with the OncoShield inventor. He'd been excited. Could be a huge commission for me, he'd said. I stared at the email for a long time. Then my phone rang. Mom. Rachel, honey, I'm so glad I caught you. Her voice had that bright, fake quality she used when asking for something. Your father and I were talking, and we realized we haven't been contributing enough to Melissa's wedding. It's her special day, after all. Okay, I said carefully. So we've decided to take out a small loan, just $50,000. For the venue upgrade, Melissa really wants the waterfront location and maybe help with the honeymoon. She paused. The thing is, the bank needs a co-signer, someone with good credit and stable income. We immediately thought of you. You want me to co-sign a $50,000 loan? It's not really co-signing, honey. We'll make all the payments. We just need your name on the paperwork. You know how banks are. I knew exactly how banks were. They wanted co-signers when the primary borrowers had terrible credit. My parents had declared bankruptcy twice. They defaulted on 3 car loans that I knew of. What's your plan for paying it back? I asked. Well, your father's getting a promotion soon. Very soon. And I'm thinking of going back to work part-time. Plus, Melissa and Tyler will probably help out once they're settled. Melissa and Tyler, who were spending $50,000 on a wedding and a Bali honeymoon. I need to think about it, I said. There's nothing to think about, Rachel. This is your sister's wedding. Her one special day. Surely you can do this one small thing for family. One small thing. Like the $5,000 for property taxes. Like the $15,000 for the honeymoon gift. Like giving up my room. I'll call you back, I said and hung up. I sat on the motel bed and did what I do best. Research. It took me 45 minutes to pull their financial records. I had their social security numbers. I'd needed them years ago for some insurance paperwork. I had access to enough databases through my work to paint a clear picture. What I found made my stomach turn. My father wasn't getting a promotion. He'd been passed over 3 times in 2 years. His salary had been stagnant for a decade. My mother hadn't worked in 15 years. But that wasn't the worst part. I found a loan application from 3 weeks ago. The $50,000 loan they wanted me to co-sign. They'd already applied for it. And they'd forged my signature. They'd listed my income as $65,000, what they thought I made. They'd used my name, my social security number, my employment information. The only problem. The bank had denied it because when they called to verify employment, my research institute's HR department had been confused. Dr. Kim makes substantially more than that, they'd apparently said. So now my parents needed me to co-sign in person, to cover up their attempted fraud. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling something cold settle in my chest. My phone buzzed again. Melissa. This time. Hey sis, quick question, what size are you? For the bridesmaid dress? I hadn't known I was a bridesmaid. You didn't ask me to be a bridesmaid, I said. Oh my god, I totally forgot. Rachel, will you be in my wedding? Please say yes. The request sounded rehearsed. I need an answer. Like, now, because the seamstress needs numbers. What happened to your friend Katie? You said she was your maid of honor. She was. But then she got all weird about the bachelorette party costs. So dramatic. Anyway, you'll do it, right? The dress is only $800. And there's the bachelorette trip to Miami that's like $2,000. But so worth it. And obviously the bridal shower. But that's whatever. $3,000. To be in a wedding where I was the replacement bridesmaid. Plus, Melissa continued, Mom said you're giving $15,000 for the honeymoon gift, so I know money isn't an issue for you. This is nothing in comparison. Money isn't an issue for you. If only she knew. I have to go, I said. Wait, Is that a yes? I need a yes, Rachel. The wedding's in 3 months. I thought about the loan application, the forged signature, the wedding being funded by fraud. I'll get back to you, I said, and hung up. Then I made a phone call to someone I'd been avoiding calling. My attorney. Marcus, I said when he picked up. It's Sarah Kim. I need to talk to you about something. Family matter. I'm listening, he said. I told him everything. The loan application, the forged signature, the co-signer request. When I finished, there was a long silence. Sarah, he said carefully. You understand this is federal bank fraud? I do. You could press charges. This is serious. I know. I stared at the water-stained ceiling of the motel room. But they're my family. Family that forged your signature for $50,000. They didn't mean I stopped. What didn't they mean? They meant to use my name. They meant to commit fraud. They just didn't think they'd get caught. What do you want to do? Marcus asked. Good question. What did I want? I wanted them to see me. Really see me. Not as the backup daughter. The safe one who'd always say yes. The ATM they could tap whenever Melissa needed something. I wanted them to understand who I actually was. And I wanted them to face consequences. Real ones. I have an idea, I said slowly. But I need your help. 3 days later, I was sitting in my real apartment, the penthouse loft with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view of the harbor when my mother called. Rachel, the bank approved our loan. Can you come to the signing tomorrow? They need you there in person. Of course, I said. What time? 10 a.m. Oh, and wear something nice. First impressions matter. I showed up at the bank at 9:45 a.m., wearing a tailored Armani suit I'd bought in Milan. My mother took one look at me and frowned. That's a bit much for a bank meeting, don't you think? I thought you said first impressions matter, I replied. The loan officer led us into a conference room. My father was already there, looking uncomfortable in a suit that was too tight. Melissa had come too, for moral support. Miss Kim, the loan officer said to me. Thank you for coming. I have the paperwork here. He slid the documents across the table. Standard loan agreement. $50,000 at 8.9% interest. 5-year term. Monthly payments of $1,038. I read every word while they watched me nervously. This all looks correct, I said finally. My mother exhaled in relief. Except for one thing, I continued. This application lists my annual income as $65,000. That's right, my father said. That's what you make, isn't it? At the research lab? No, I said. It's not. The loan officer's eyes flickered to his computer screen. According to our records, Dr. Kim, your current annual income is... He paused, double-checking. Approximately $4.2 million. From patent royalties, primarily. The room went very quiet. I'm sorry, my mother said faintly. Did you say million? Million, the loan officer confirmed. He looked at my parents. Which raises questions about why you listed her income as $65,000 on your initial application. The one with the forged signature. My father's face went white. Forged? There must be some mistake. There's no mistake, I said quietly. You forged my signature 3 weeks ago. The bank denied it because the income didn't match. So you called me to co-sign in person, thinking I'd just sign without reading it. Melissa stared at me. You make $4 million a year? Give or take, I said. It varies based on OncoShield sales. OncoShield? Tyler's voice cracked. He'd gone pale. You're Dr. Sarah Kim? The doctor. Sarah Kim? I told you my name, I said. You just never asked questions. But you drive that old car. You dress like a lab technician making $65,000? I smiled. It wasn't a nice smile. That was the idea. My mother found her voice. Rachel, honey, this is wonderful news. $4 million. Why didn't you tell us? Because of this. I gestured at the loan documents. Because every time I have something, it becomes yours. My room becomes Melissa's fitting room. My money becomes her honeymoon fund. My name becomes your loan collateral. That's not fair, Melissa protested. We're family. Family helps each other. You're right, I said. Family does help each other. So let me help you understand something. I pulled out my phone and opened a folder. 3 weeks ago, you applied for this loan using forged documents. That's bank fraud. Federal crime. 5 years in prison. Typically, my father stood up. Now wait just a minute. Sit down, Dad. My voice was steel. He sat. Yesterday, I continued. I met with the FBI. I showed them the application. The forged signature. The whole thing. You called the FBI on your own parents? My mother's voice rose. What kind of daughter? The kind who's tired of being invisible, I said. The kind who's tired of funding a wedding for a sister who forgot to tell her she was a bridesmaid. The kind who's tired of being blamed for needing space when the real issue is you never see me as anything but a safety net. I stood up, gathering my things. Here's what's going to happen. The FBI is investigating. They'll likely file charges unless you cooperate fully. I've instructed my attorney to pursue civil remedies for the identity theft. And I'm done. With the loan, with the wedding gift, with all of it. Rachel, please, my mother was crying now. We didn't mean to hurt you. I know, I said. That's almost worse. You hurt me without even thinking about it. Because you never thought about me at all. I walked toward the door. Wait, Tyler said suddenly. That meeting next week. In Boston. With Avalon Therapeutics. You're the patent holder we're meeting with? I am. I confirmed. I'm supposed to. We're trying to license your technology for pediatric use. I know. I paused at the door. I've reviewed your proposal. It's inadequate. The royalty structure undervalues the technology, and your company's track record with pediatric trials is questionable. I'm declining the license. Tyler looked like I'd slapped him. That deal was worth $200,000 in commission for me. I agreed. Now it's worth nothing. Maybe you'll have to postpone the Bali honeymoon. You can't do this, Melissa shrieked. You're ruining our wedding. No, I said. I'm just not funding it anymore. There's a difference. I left them there, walked out of the bank, got in my old Toyota, and drove away. My phone started ringing before I'd gone 2 blocks. I let it go to voicemail. Then another call, and another. By the time I got back to my apartment, I had 17 missed calls and 32 text messages. Most were from my parents and Melissa. Apologies, explanations, promises to do better, accusations of cruelty, threats of estrangement. One was from Marcus, my attorney. FBI wants to talk. They're interested in the bank fraud. Call me. Another was from my real estate agent. Interesting news. The house on Maple Street, your parents' house? It's going into foreclosure. Bank listed it this morning. Thought you'd want to know. I looked at that message for a long time. Then I called Marcus back. How much? I asked. How much what? How much is my parents' house in foreclosure for? Let me check. A pause. Keyboard clicking. Looks like they're $87,000 behind on the mortgage. Bank wants $312,000 to clear it and take possession. Buy it, I said. Use one of my LLCs. Don't let them know it's me. Sarah, buy it, Marcus. And when you do, I want everything documented. Every missed payment, every lie they told the bank, every piece of fraud. Can you do that? I can, he said slowly. But are you sure this is what you want? I'm sure, I said. It's time they learned what consequences feel like. The next 6 weeks were the longest of my life. The FBI investigation moved forward. My parents hired a lawyer, a terrible one they could barely afford. They pleaded ignorance, claimed they didn't understand what they were signing, insisted it was all a misunderstanding. The bank fraud charges were real, though. Federal prosecutor was interested. Meanwhile, Melissa's wedding plans imploded. Tyler's company found out about the declined license word spreads fast in pharmaceutical sales and started asking questions about his relationship to me. Turned out he'd been telling colleagues he had an in with the OncoShield inventor. When they learned that in was a future sister-in-law he'd condescended to at Thanksgiving, his credibility tanked. His commission structure was quietly revised. The Bali honeymoon became Cancun, then Miami, then a weekend in the Poconos. Melissa called me crying. You're destroying my life. I'm not doing anything, I said honestly. I'm just not fixing your problems anymore. That's the same thing. Maybe it was. The house foreclosure proceeded. Marcus bought it through one of my shell companies, Riverside Holdings LLC. My parents never knew. The bank approved the sale quickly. They were just happy to get the property off their books. On the day of the closing, I drove past the house, saw the moving truck in the driveway, my mother supervising, my father carrying boxes. They'd found a rental apartment across town, 2 bedrooms, much smaller. Melissa had moved in with Tyler. The wedding was still on, but scaled down significantly. No more Vera Wang dress, no waterfront venue. They'd rented a local community center. I should have felt triumphant. This was justice, right? Consequences. Instead, I felt hollow. That night, I got a call from an unknown number. Dr. Kim? This is Patricia Chen from the FBI. I'm the agent handling your parents' case. Yes? I wanted to update you. We've completed our investigation. The evidence is clear they did commit bank fraud by forging your signature. However, she paused. They're first-time offenders. Elderly. No prior record. The prosecutor is willing to offer a deal. What kind of deal? Probation. Restitution. They'd have to pay back any money obtained through fraud, which in this case is 0, since the loan was denied. They'd attend financial counseling. And they'd have a felony on their record. But no prison time. No prison time. Unless they violate probation. I thought about my father in prison. My mother. I tried to feel satisfaction. I felt nothing. That's up to the prosecutor, I said. Not me. Actually, Dr. Kim, it is up to you. You're the victim. If you don't want to press charges, we can drop it. I sat with that for a moment. I'll think about it, I said. Take your time, Agent Chen said. We're in no rush. After we hung up, I sat in my apartment, looking out at the harbor. The water was dark, reflecting city lights like scattered diamonds. My phone buzzed. A text from Melissa. The wedding's next week. I know you probably won't come. I just wanted you to know you're still invited. If you want. I stared at the text. Then another one came through. I'm sorry. For everything. I never knew how badly we treated you. I never thought about it. That's not an excuse. But it's the truth. I typed back. What changed? The response came quickly. Tyler and I have been going to couples counseling. The therapist asked me about my family. I started talking about you. About how you were always there. Always helping. And Tyler said, wait, your sister is a multimillionaire and you didn't know? And I realized, I didn't know anything about you. Not really. I just knew you'd always say yes when I needed something. I read that message 3 times. Another text. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't expect you to come to the wedding or give money or anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And I hope someday you can be in my life again. As a sister. Not as a safety net. I set the phone down and cried. Really cried. For the first time in weeks. The wedding was the following Saturday. Small. Intimate. 30 people in a community center with folding chairs and grocery store flowers. I didn't go. Instead, I spent that day at my grandmother's grave. Brought flowers. Sat on the grass. You asked me to look after them, I said to the headstone. I tried, Grandma. I really did. But they didn't want looking after. They wanted enabling. The wind rustled through the trees. I don't know if I'm doing the right thing, I continued. Buying their house. The FBI investigation. Maybe I'm being cruel. Maybe I'm just being honest. I touched the cold marble. I hope you'd understand. My phone rang. Marcus. The house is officially yours, he said. Riverside Holdings LLC is now the owner of 847 Maple Street. What do you want to do with it? I watched a bird land on a nearby branch. Rent it back to them, I said. I'm sorry. What? Rent it to them. Market rate. Month-to-month lease. If they pay on time, they can stay. If they don't, they're evicted like any other tenant. Sarah, I'm not sure It's not revenge, Marcus. It's consequences. They'll pay rent, maintain the property, follow the rules. Like responsible adults. For the first time in their lives. And if they can't afford it, then they'll downsize. Like everyone else who can't afford their housing. I stood up, brushing grass from my jeans. Send the lease agreement. I want it in their hands by Monday. You're the boss, Marcus said. The lease arrived at my parents' rental apartment on Monday morning. They called me 17 times that day. I didn't answer. Finally, a text from my father. Is this real? You bought our house? I texted back. Riverside Holdings bought the house. They're offering you a lease. This is you, isn't it? Does it matter? The rent is fair. The terms are standard. You can take it or leave it. A long pause. Then, we'll take it. Good. First month's rent is due on the 1st. Security deposit too. Total of $6,000. Another pause. We don't have $6,000. Then I guess you'll need to figure that out, I typed. Like everyone else does. I turned off my phone after that. 3 days later, I got an envelope in the mail. Inside was a money order for $6,000 and a handwritten note from my mother. We sold the wedding gifts. Melissa's fine with it, she said. The rental house is more important than toasters and picture frames. We're moving back in next week. I don't know if you'll ever forgive us, but thank you for this chance. We'll pay on time. I promise. Mom. I held that note for a long time. Then I called Agent Chen at the FBI. I want to drop the charges, I said. Are you sure? I'm sure. They're getting consequences, real ones. They'll pay rent, follow rules, live within their means. That's punishment enough. If that's what you want, she said. I'll inform the prosecutor. Thank you, I said. After I hung up, I made one more call. To Melissa. Hey, I said when she answered. Rachel? She sounded shocked. I didn't think you'd call. How was the wedding? Small, simple, actually really nice. A pause. Tyler's mom made the cake. It was lopsided but delicious. I smiled despite myself. I'm glad. Are we okay? Melissa asked quietly. No, I said honestly. But maybe we can be. Someday. If things change. They will, she said quickly. I promise. Things are already different. Tyler got a new job, not sales, actual research coordination. Less money, but more honest. And I'm starting nursing school in the fall. Nursing school? Yeah. Turns out I'm actually good at taking care of people. Who knew? She laughed, but it sounded sad. I'm sorry I never took care of you. Me too, I said. We sat in silence for a moment. I sent you a wedding present, I said finally. Rachel, you didn't have to. I wanted to. Check your mail tomorrow. I'd sent them a check for $5,000. Not for the honeymoon. Not for gifts. For Tyler's first month at his new job. To cover the pay cut. To help them build something real. It wasn't $15,000 for Bali. It was support with boundaries, help with respect. It was the beginning of something different. 6 months later, I sat in my grandmother's house, my house now going through old photo albums. I decided to redecorate, make it my own. My parents had moved into an apartment downtown after all. The rental house had been too big, too expensive. They'd found a 2-bedroom place they could actually afford. They were learning to live within their means. Melissa stopped by sometimes. We had coffee, talked about real things. She'd asked about my research once, actually listened to the answer. It was strange, good strange. Tyler had apologized. Properly. For the condescension. The assumptions. He'd asked if I'd consider letting Avalon license OncoShield for pediatric use with better terms, better oversight. I'd said I'd think about it. I was thinking about it. My phone rang. My father. "Hi, Dad," I said. "Rachel. I just wanted to let you know we made this month's rent payment. Early, even." "That's great, Dad." "Yeah. And He cleared his throat. "I read that article. About you. In the pharmaceutical journal. Your research. You're really something." I felt tears prick my eyes. "Thanks, Dad. I'm sorry I never asked," he said quietly. "About your work, your life. I'm sorry I didn't see you." "I know," I said. "I'm sorry I hid. You had good reason to hide." We sat with that truth for a moment. "I love you, Rachel," he said. "I know I haven't shown it well, but I do. I love you too, Dad." After we hung up, I sat there holding the phone, looking at my grandmother's photo on the mantel. "I looked after them, Grandma," I whispered. "Just not the way either of us expected. Sometimes love means saying no. Sometimes it means consequences. Sometimes it means letting people fall so they can learn to stand." I was still learning that lesson myself, but I was learning, and for the first time in 30 years, I wasn't invisible. I was seen. Really seen. And that made all the difference.